Welcome to the Astrology Show with your host, Kelly Fox. Each week, Kelly will give you access to the current transits that are a valuable tool which provide astrological information to help unlock the potential each of us has through our sun sign. Understanding the current planetary influences each week can help steer us in the right direction to make better informed choices. Sometimes, events in your life may seem completely random, but there is a pattern to the order of these events, one set in motion in part by you, and in part by the planets and stars in the sky and their influence on your life here on Earth. So if you're wondering what's going to happen in your week ahead, if you're going to get that promotion, move to a new city, or fall in love, tune in to the Astrology Show for guidance. It can help you anticipate problems before they occur, give you tools to cope with changes, and help you look forward to the wonderful days ahead. Kelly Fox is a professional astrologer and internet pioneer who launched astrology.com, one of the first and most successful astrology websites. Today, her passion lies with her new site, theastrologer.com, where she brings a modern-day approach to an ancient wisdom. Please join Kelly each week to learn more about how the planets can align for you.
Hi there, and welcome to the Astrology Show. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox. How was the full moon for you? This past weekend, we had a full moon in Aries, and it wasn't just a regular full moon like they never are. It had the involvement of Uranus. So the moon and Uranus were together opposing the sun, and Uranus is the planet of the unexpected. And I know I talked a lot about the full moon last week because full moons are always intense. So this past weekend, how was it for you? Smooth sailing or things coming at you that you had not anticipated? And I guess for many of you, there was probably a highlight on relationships, because Aries, the moon was in Aries, the full moon in Aries, which is a very independent sign, opposing the sun in Libra, which is all about relationships. So the theme of the weekend for many of us might have been dependence versus independence, codependence versus independence. So have a think how that full moon illuminated the dark corners of your relationships this past weekend, and things might have come to light that you had not anticipated. Anyway, so thankfully that is behind us, and we are looking at another week ahead of us. And I'll give you a quick rundown of what's happening this week and then jump in more in depth. So the big news of this week is Scorpio, the sun moving into Scorpio on Saturday, and love planet Venus moving into Sagittarius on Tuesday. And then there's other planetary aspects. Of course, there's always a lot of moon aspects, which I don't typically cover unless it's a new moon, full moon, any sort of moon phase, which is what we call a lunation. So any type of lunation that has some other planet involved is always big news. So this week we have the sun moving into Scorpio on Saturday. Of course, if you're from a different time zone, a future time zone, thinking of Australia, where I'm from originally, the sun will be moving into Scorpio for you on Sunday, because you're a day ahead. So if you're listening from down under, the sun will move into Scorpio on Sunday. So if you're this side of the Greenwich Meridian line or Universal Time line, then it will be Saturday. If you're on the eastern side of that line, it will be Sunday. So the sun moving into Scorpio, I feel like saying da-da-da-da, because Scorpio, that's a sign that has a bit of a rap, and it's not always good. And I really believe that Scorpio is misunderstood. People, most other signs don't get Scorpio. Scorpio, okay, so the sun will be in, and I'm smiling as I'm saying all this because I'm thinking of all the horror stories I've heard about Scorpio. Every sign has its shadow side. This is true, some more than others, and Scorpio in particular. And when I've been doing my video work lately, daily horoscope videos, I do like to tease Scorpio. I have to admit, I like to tease Scorpio. It's probably not a good idea. If you're a Scorpio or you have a Scorpio in your life, you know this is really not a good idea, but I can't resist. And Scorpio is the most powerful sign of the zodiac. It's the most intense sign and the most powerful and the most misunderstood. So the sun will be in Scorpio through November 22nd. So from October 22nd through November 21st, October 22nd through November 21st, the sun will be in Scorpio. What does that mean for all of us? Well, it's good news if you're a Scorpio because it means that you can get a sense of self and your power will be amplified. Also, if you're a water sign, it's good news as well, and that's Cancer and Pisces. This is great news when the sun is in Scorpio. It's a good time. It's a time to feel good about yourself, to really hone your intuition. Scorpio is an extremely intuitive sign, extremely perceptive. Nothing escapes a Scorpio. Scorpio is the detective of the zodiac. Again, I'm smiling because I'm thinking of many instances in my life where Scorpio has been a detective in my life, and I'm thinking of a particular 14-year-old daughter. So Scorpio is very intense, very astute, sign of the detective, Sherlock Holmes type of thing. Scorpio likes to get very deep. Scorpio, when the sun is in Scorpio, so we're going to be under the influence of Scorpio the next few weeks, it is a time to get in touch with our deeper and darker aspects of ourselves. Scorpio is not interested in the superficial at all, and instead wants to dive into the depths and uncover what's hidden beneath the surface. So again, the detective. The influence of Scorpio is great for any type of research or investigation or digging deep. And I usually find that the people that quiz me about astrology, if I meet anybody face to face, and the ones that are never superficial about the topic are always wanting to know more and always questioning. And then what I've found over the years, again, I'm saying this with a smile on my face, over the years, if somebody says to me, and tell me what sign I am, my first guess is always Scorpio. Most of the time I'm usually correct, and then and the person's usually amazed that I'm guessing the sign. And that's not a job of an astrologer, is to guess. I have to give this disclaimer first. The job of an astrologer is to not guess. So it goes against my grain to even guess anyone's sign. And I don't usually do it, but when I'm thinking this person must have some sort of Scorpio influence in their chart, I might sometimes say Scorpio. And if I ever get met with a no, I'm not a Scorpio sun, then I will be curious because it was probably this person has a Scorpio moon. Anybody that sort of feels like they're challenging something is usually Scorpio something. So Scorpios might seem mysterious to others, and they don't usually reveal themselves, only to those who they're closest to and who have proven that they can be trusted. a big keyword for the influence of Scorpio is trust. Trust and loyalty. Scorpio is a very, very loyal sign until you break their trust, and then you will feel the sting of their tail. And I would never want to be on the receiving end of that. The feelings of Scorpio are intense, and they do scare people away with the intensity. Scorpios are very passionate, and as I said, very extreme. So there's extreme, intense, and passionate. When the sun is in Scorpio, which it will be over the next few weeks, we can expect to take on these energies and characteristics of the sign. So during the next few weeks, we can expect to be passionate, extreme, and intense. So the thing is, though, with Scorpio, there's a lot of bravado. Most of it is real, but sometimes they like to put on a big front, you know, like I think of a frilled neck lizard where they puff themselves up and they bring this frill out, and that's sort of like to intimidate the person that comes near them, but really they're afraid. So with Scorpio, maybe a lot of Scorpions, you know, might be scared of being vulnerable. But if they hide their emotions, if you hide your emotions, you'll miss out on the intimacy that you're craving for. So just keep that in mind during the next few weeks with this influence of Scorpio. If you do hide your emotions, you will miss out. It's really a challenge about being open and exposed. We're going to take a short break. After the break, I will continue with this week's planetary influences. So stay tuned.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Have you been searching for a perspective beyond the mainstream? Check it out. Join your hosts Cielito Pascual and Diana Gold Holland on Share International Radio for thought-provoking views behind the news, Sundays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio. You can also find us at shareontheairradio.org. This may be the message of hope you've been waiting for.
Hi, this is John Ondrasik of Five for Fighting, here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. You know, style is a personal thing, and your lifestyle is your business. But if you take it on the road, it becomes everybody's business. So please, plan ahead, designate before you celebrate. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service announcement brought to you by RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Hi there, and welcome back to the Astrology Show. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox, talking about this week's planetary influences. And just before the break, I was talking all about the 8th sign of the zodiac, and that is Scorpio. Scorpio has a reputation, sometimes deserved, sometimes misunderstood. Scorpio is the most intense sign of the zodiac and the most powerful and probably the most misunderstood. So Scorpio is ruled by the planet, actually 2 planets the primary planet, the main planet, is Pluto. And yes, Pluto is still considered a planet according to astrologers. And it is the most powerful planet of all. And it rules the most powerful sign of all, and that's Scorpio. Scorpio is also sub-ruled by the planet Mars. So that's very, very interesting when you think about being ruled by Mars and Pluto. That explains the intensity and what scares everybody else away. So Mars is a warrior planet. Mars is very much assertion, aggression, passion. Pluto is all about death and rebirth and transformation. And so the symbol of Scorpio is the scorpion, but it has another symbol as well, which is the phoenix rising from the ashes. And so what that means is this mythological creature of the phoenix, and it rises from the ashes. So the meaning behind that is transformation, and that's what Pluto, Scorpio's ruler, is all about. It's about transforming. But most of us don't necessarily jump to hard change in our lives or major transformation where something is going to hurt physically, emotionally, mentally. Nobody's willingly walking into the fire here. It's sort of like we're dragged in kicking and screaming. And so what happens with the energy and influence of Scorpio over the next few weeks, if we're looking to make a change in our life, if we're willingly wanting to give up a bad habit, for example, then this would be the time to do it, because it's like the planets are aligned, the energies are on our side. There's more of a chance of having something stick. So it's like it's a great time to give something up because we're ready for a change and a transformation. So the symbols of Scorpio are the scorpion. So if you mess with a Scorpio, you get stung by the tail and death might happen, or you'll get really sick, or it's basically something you'll never forget if you're stung by a scorpion and you live to tell the tale. And the other symbol is the phoenix rising from the ashes. So what that means is if you're a Scorpio, or you have you're lucky enough to have Scorpion in your life, then typically they have interesting lives where something major has happened, or they go through major events which are quite challenging. They encounter lots of obstacles, and the obstacles are there to force them to face themselves, or force them to find another way. Or with the phoenix rising from the ashes, it's a death and a rebirth. So many Scorpions have these sorts of challenges in their lives. It's like a death and a rebirth. They have to go through something very difficult. The main ruler of Scorpio being Pluto, which is the ruler of Hades or hell. So you'll find that many Scorpios have to encounter going to hell, meaning going through something so major or so challenging in their life that it feels like that they've been crawling through hell, only to rise above it and to evolve from a situation. So it's like sometimes Scorpio gets lost in misery. And this might sound weird, and the first time I read this, and I can't remember who the author was, but it said, they said Scorpio is happiest when they're miserable in love. And I thought, what on earth does that mean? And then throughout the years of my professional career and the many readings that I've done, I have found that people with Scorpio influence, and I'm not just talking about Scorpio generally, but I'm just talking if you have any planets in Scorpio, and at various times when they're being triggered by transiting planets, I've found that sometimes people, we create our own misery because we can't see a way out of a situation. We feel stuck, or we feel that there's only one way to be and this is it. And So with Scorpio, it's like rising from the ashes. So you've been in tough, challenging situations, and part of your existence in this lifetime, or your destiny this lifetime, is to rise above it. That's a lot of information for the next few weeks. And of course, not all of us are going to go through some major transformation or transition in the next few weeks. It takes more than just the sun's influence in Scorpio to create such a major upheaval or shift in someone's life. I'm just giving you the example or the information of the influence of Scorpio and its ruling planets of Mars and Pluto. So it does definitely take more than just the sun transiting any one of your planets. It would take, for a major life change and upheaval, Pluto connecting to one of your personal planets, and that just doesn't happen in a few weeks either. The transit of Pluto to any one of your, say, moon or sun takes a couple of years at least. And of course, major change in someone's life doesn't happen overnight either. We transition through things, and that's what astrology is really good for, is explaining cycles, because each of the planets have planetary cycles. And what that means is, for example, the Earth goes around the sun and it takes 365 days, whereas Mercury takes 88 days and Pluto takes 248 years to cycle around the sun. So astrology is all about cycles. It's about explaining cycles. And it can be very, very helpful when we're in the midst of something, when we might be going through some sort of Scorpio influence or a Pluto transit where we just feel that there's just no way out. But astrology helps us to know that everything has a cycle, everything has ups and downs. There is always light at the end of the tunnel. And another classic example of that is when I read these stories about these amazing people just ordinary people who become extraordinary due to circumstance or events that happen in their lives, where they might, say, for example, have missing limbs, and they say that their life is better after this event, where we can't imagine that would be so. So that's the example of the phoenix rising from the ashes. It's like we can't relate or understand unless we've been there ourselves, which leads me to talk about Scorpio. And Scorpios, if you have any in your life or you are a Scorpio, you've noticed that Scorpios stick together. And I think it's because other signs don't fully understand Scorpios. But throughout my life, I've noticed groups of Scorpios. What do you call a group of Scorpios? It couldn't be a gaggle because that's geese. It couldn't be a pride because that's lions. I should look that up, actually. That's something that I should know. I'm not going to say a gaggle of scorpions. I wouldn't dare. So during this time over the next few weeks, when the sun is in Scorpio, many of us might have a desire to explore the depths of things that have not been revealed previously. And as I said, Scorpio is a super intuitive, perceptive, instinctive sign, and usually can get to the bottom of a matter within, I think, minutes. It's like some of them have X-ray vision and bionic hearing all combined together. And usually a Scorpio can get to the hidden motivations of others, which would lead them to make excellent psychologists or even astrologers, let alone detectives. And as I said before, investigation and research would be very fulfilling and rewarding during the next few weeks when the sun is in Scorpio. Many of us will have focus and willpower to complete any project. Scorpio is a fixed sign, the other fixed signs being Taurus, Leo, and Aquarius. Fixed signs are very strong and very motivated, and can be quite stubborn on the flip side. But they do have the capacity to get things done, to hold on to something for better or worse until, what's that saying, holding on to something until the dying end? No, that doesn't sound right. But you get my drift. It's like they will hold on to the bitter end for better or worse. They're a good person to have on your team if you need to get something done, and something that might seem overwhelming. Scorpio is definitely somebody to have on the team to get it done because they have focus and willpower to complete any project, which means digging until you get to the root of the issue. And it makes many of us uncomfortable, but it's needed. Scorpio can be relentless in their pursuit of truth. Never lie to a Scorpio. I should have that as a bumper sticker. Never lie to a Scorpio. Under the influence of the Scorpio sun during the next few weeks, where the sun will be until November 21st, many of us have the potential to heal from old wounds and to transform a stagnant situation. If you're thinking of getting any type of counselling, the next few weeks would be a fantastic time to start or unearth something, or look at something from the past that you might have put away, hopefully never to think about again. It might be a time to bring it up, or somebody might bring it up for you. It would be a time to deal with it. And the key during this time, if you have to deal with anything, an old wound from the past, or to heal something, the key is to be willing to let go of the past and to release what you've outgrown, and to forgive yourself and others. Forgive is a key word that would be good for Scorpio, because Scorpio would tend to hold a grudge, I would say, probably more than any other sign. So that's why I smile when I say don't ever cross or mess with a Scorpio. I say it smiling, but really there is truth to it, a lot of truth. Now, there's a lot of keywords here for Scorpio that I have, and over the next few weeks. Attachment is one. Attachment. Scorpio, as I said, is a very loyal sign, and trust is crucial. Scorpios can be quite forceful, not necessarily in a direct way, but in an indirect way. And they usually get what they want, and it doesn't matter how long it takes, they will get it. Scorpio is also the sign of sex, and it's the ruler of the 8th house, which is very sexual in nature. So Scorpio's intensity can frighten some people away as well, because as the ruler of all these things that people don't really want to talk about, or it's not polite conversation, that's what Scorpio rules. And Scorpio can be very magnetic as well. There's a certain charisma about people born of this sign. It's like a smouldering intensity. They're very emotional. They don't always show their emotion, because you have to be trusted first before they feel comfortable expressing themselves. Another key word for Scorpio is secretive. Scorpio can be very secretive. And again, it's all about trust and how much they trust you before any secrets can be revealed or shared. And all these keywords are making me smile. But another one is penetrating, because nothing escapes a Scorpio. So they make very good detectives, as I said before, and can be very fixed. And they're very definite with certain things as well. I will continue after the short break with the keywords of Scorpio, of what to expect over the next few weeks, so stay tuned.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Spiritual, metaphysical, green living, psychic, alternative healing, life coaching. Do any of these or similar terms apply to your business or cause? If so, you are in a niche market with a very specific audience. Conscious Gate PR is the world's leading conscious public relations agency. With a global reach of over 4 million and growing, we offer comprehensive media campaigns to our targeted market. Learn more at ConsciousGatePR.com. Conscious marketing for conscious minds.
Join Vibe Nation radio host, international psychic medium Carrie Turcotte, as she guides her listeners to rediscover themselves by accessing the keys of knowledge that already exist within. Each week's show is divinely orchestrated to intertwine with the universal energies, allowing the listeners to go deeper within. At the end of each show, Carrie will tap into the energies of the listeners and give a message from Spirit about the upcoming week. If you really want to get to know who you truly are, join Carrie each Monday at 3 p.m. on Vibe Nation Radio.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat?
Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi there, welcome back to the Astrology Show. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox, talking about Scorpio. And I want to do it again. I want to say da-da-da-da, because Scorpio can be so misunderstood. Poor old Scorpio. And I'm talking a lot about Scorpio because Scorpio is such a fascinating sign. Of course, all the signs are fascinating. And Scorpio just has such a reputation. And before we took a break, I was going through some keywords I have here for Scorpio. And if you have a Scorpio in your life, you know of a Scorpio, this might shed some light on sometimes their behavior, which can be quite confusing to the rest of us. I talked about Scorpio being a fixed sign. It's a water sign. The other water signs being Cancer and Pisces, which means very intuitive and very emotional, the water signs. And with Scorpio, it's a fixed water sign. The other fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, and Aquarius. So a fixed water sign, and I always think of still waters run deep. I think of a great big ocean or a great big body of water when I think of Scorpio, and it's black. If you've ever seen a great big body of water, it's black. You don't know how deep it is below the surface. And you don't really want to put your toe in there to test the waters either, because you're not sure if it's going to get bitten off. To me, that's representative of Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by Mars and Pluto. Oh, and I meant to explain that before. Why does it have two planetary rulers and some signs just have one? Well, in the ancient days, hundreds of years ago, before telescopes, the ancient people, I say ancient people of the Renaissance era, they could only see as far as Saturn, the planet Saturn. So for hundreds and thousands of years, humankind didn't realize that the outer three planets, and that's Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, existed. So they assigned signs to planets, and the planets had two signs that they ruled typically. But in our modern day times, Scorpio is ruled by Pluto and co-ruled or sub-ruled by Mars. And so Mars is the ancient ruler of Scorpio. Mars also rules Aries. And it's interesting because if you think of Aries, and Aries being the obvious warrior and soldier, because Mars is the planet of war. And so I think of Aries as being the soldier and Scorpio as being the general. So it's like Scorpio's calling the shots from the tent and Aries is fighting the battle on the battleground. Also with Scorpio can be quite extreme, and usually the saying I think of is fight to the death. It's like Scorpio will not give up until it gets what it wants. That's why I think it's quite scary to some people. Scorpio is also quite sacrificing. So once you have the trust and love of the Scorpio and respect especially, they will do anything for you. So if you're lucky enough to have a Scorpio that will do anything for you, then, you know, it's like your wish is their command. They can be aggressive as well, not obvious, not always obvious, because their sub-ruler is Mars. I talked a lot before about regeneration and rebirth. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, and it's all about regeneration. So if you are a Scorpio, you have any Scorpio in your life, you'll know that they've been through a lot. They've overcome a lot. Maybe they're in the process of going through something, but they always get through it. Scorpio is also a natural healer. They're quite inspiring. You know, like life stories of some Scorpios are very inspiring. They're very frank and, as I said, devoted. Once you have the trust, you've earned the trust of a Scorpio, friends for life, as long as you don't mess that up. Very tenacious, courageous, and determined. On the negative, on the flip side, there's always, every sign has a shadow side. Scorpio can be very jealous and rebellious, suspicious, domineering, sarcastic, cruel, and, of course, stubborn and distrustful. So there are just some keywords for Scorpio and what we can expect over the next few weeks when the Sun is in Scorpio. And so how will the Sun being in Scorpio affect your sign? If you're an Aries, the next few weeks will be about money. Not just your own money, but the money and possessions that you share with other people. So if you're married, you share the ownership of a house or a car or whatever it is with someone else. So if you're an Aries, the next few weeks for you may be about shared resources, taxes, inheritance, and recycling and regeneration. If you're a Taurus, when the Sun is in Scorpio, for you it's about marriage and business partnerships. So the Sun in Scorpio will illuminate these things for you over the next few weeks. So anything about your relationship, anything, if you're a Taurus, anything that you might not have been discussing or keeping hidden or sweeping under the rug, as we say, this would be a time to bring it up and deal with it and then put it behind you once and for all. If you're a Gemini, this is an excellent time to focus on your health, diet and fitness, particularly because Scorpio, the energy of Scorpio is all about regeneration and getting rid of a bad habit. So if you're a Gemini, this is doubly so for you when the Sun is in Scorpio. If you're a Cancer, lucky you, this is all about romance and courtship and entertainment and having fun and pleasure and creativity and spending time with children or being childish, letting your inner child come out. If you're a Leo, the focus for you when the Sun is in Scorpio is all about home and family, parents and ancestors. If you're looking to do any sort of renovation or even just a small change to your home, this is the time to do it. Any sort of repairs, this is an excellent time over the next few weeks to be doing that, and particularly before the holidays coming up. If you're a Virgo, it's about intellect and thought and getting to the bottom of something, research and investigation. If you're a Libra, this is about money for you, and Scorpio is one of the signs of money. So this is a great time to really focus on money and the bottom line and spending and saving and possessions. If you're a Scorpio, the sun in your own sign, meaning you're having a birthday soon, and it's a good time to focus on yourself and your appearance and your individuality. If you're looking to update your wardrobe or get a haircut or a makeover, this is an excellent time to do this. If you're a Sagittarius, pay attention to the subconscious, your dreams, listen to your intuition. It's a good time for meditation. If you're a Capricorn, it's an excellent time to be spending with friends and acquaintances, both online and offline. Join any sort of groups or clubs or associations. If you're an Aquarian, this is the time to focus on your career the next few weeks when the sun is in Scorpio. It's all about where you want to go to, and because you're also a fixed sign, it's good to think about your long-term aspirations. And if you're a Pisces, this is a wonderful time the next few weeks for publishing, any sort of higher education, dealing with any sort of legalities, anything from overseas or any foreign people, or any type of philosophical conversations and discussions. It's a wonderful time to go deep. So, that aside, the sun moving into Scorpio on Saturday, let's take a look at the other astrological influences of the week, and I will do that right after the break. So stay tuned.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millicers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
Welcome back to The Dog Show. Up next, we have Satchmo. Satchmo is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right, a group known especially for their couch-snuggling, ball-chasing, face-licking, and, of course, companionship. Now, let's see him in action.
Look how he makes eye contact with his person.
That's actually known as the treat stare.
How intuitive, and now he appears to be excitedly turning in circles.
Ah, the happy dance so common with this group.
But really, the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Satchmo is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Hi there, welcome back to the Astrology Show. I'm your host and astrologer Kelly Fox, talking about this week's planetary influences. And I was talking a lot about the sun in Scorpio the next few weeks, but tomorrow we have Venus, love planet Venus, moving into Sagittarius, where it will stay until November 11th. So what can we expect when love planet Venus moves into Sagittarius? Well, this is great news for the fire signs or anybody that has planets in fire signs. And the fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And so what's going to happen for many of us during the next few weeks? Our love life will be a great adventure. Many of us will need a lot of space and freedom to explore at this time. And Sagittarius is typically known as the bachelor of the zodiac. So when you team up love planet Venus with the bachelor sign of the zodiac, what do you get? Lots of fun and adventure. Many of us will actively seek out fun and excitement rather than passively waiting around. Will be enthusiastic and in an adventurous spirit. and that would make many of us very popular. No wallflowers allowed here when love planet Venus is in Sag. And we can expect a great social life with a variety of interesting people. The more that we can connect with people we don't normally connect with, the better, especially foreign people, people from different cultures or faraway places. Our curiosity will be really high at this time, and it just really is all about connecting with different types of people. And some of us might find that our long-term one-on-one relationship could feel a little bit stifling, because Sagittarius is all about freedom and adventure. So if you're in a partnership at this time, you might need a little more freedom to do your own thing, and it's best to give your partner the freedom that he or she is seeking. You can also breathe new life into your current relationship by traveling together or going on some kind of adventure together. Sagittarius is the sign of travel. You want to feel like you and your partnership are growing and expanding in new directions. That's going to be key when Venus is in Sagittarius through November 11th. We also might be very idealistic. Many of us might have big dreams for the future. And we might long to connect with friends and lovers who share our ideals. Also, just be aware of the tendency toward arrogance when it comes to your view of the world, and make an effort to be open to other people's ideas and perspectives. So it's Venus in Sagittarius. On Wednesday, we've got Mars conjuncting Pluto. Whoa. Wow. Okay. Mars conjuncts Pluto in Capricorn. And the funny thing is, I was just talking about Scorpio's ruling planets of being Mars and Pluto, if that gives you any idea. It's not all scary, only for some of us. It's great for Taurus and Virgo, intense for Capricorn, and challenging for Aries, Cancer, and Libra. So, and when I talk about a specific planetary influence and I give the day, it doesn't mean it's just going to happen on that day. Usually it's the whole week, depending on the planets involved. But this one on Wednesday, Mars conjuncting Pluto, affects all of us all week. So one thing to say about when Mars conjuncts Pluto is that no one will be lacking energy, motivation, or drive this week. In fact, the issue is likely to be too much energy of a particular sort, and that means power and passion above and below the surface. So if you can combine these things in a positive way, you'll make a formidable person or team. Some of us might be really ambitious and purposeful that we bulldoze anyone who happens to be in our way, so take care of that. Some of us, once we've decided what we want, we're willing to work as long as it takes to get it. Anger could be a common issue now, and many of us will have deep pools of unconscious rage just waiting to explode. Ooh. And now is the time to make progress in that area, meaning learning to control it. But once we can work through it or control it, we can engage in controlled action that becomes profound, meaningful, creative, and valuable. Some of us will feel a great satisfaction from doing heavy physical work or a hard workout. So remember that this transit can actually be somewhat dangerous, so be careful if we're going through scary neighbourhoods. And take care with driving and road rage. That's my word of caution with this transit of Mars conjunct Pluto. On Thursday, we have Mercury opposite Uranus, which could be tough for the cardinal signs, and that's Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. So concentration is going to be difficult, so it's best to not expect too much from ourselves or each other in that department. Communications will be equally challenging, as some of us seem to develop foot-and-mouth disease while others purposefully contradict any little thing we disagree with. And of course, with the sun moving into Scorpio on the weekend, some of us might do it just for fun. Some of us might not be able to let anything slide with these planetary influences, and others might likely to blurt things out without even thinking and then have to deal with the aftermath. So the normal mental filters are taking a vacation with this influence. And so some people might like to observe that some people like to shock others just for the effect. So just remember that's what maybe some people are doing. And then try not to interrupt anyone else as they're making a point. Arguments might be rife with this influence. So I talked a lot about the sun in Scorpio on Saturday. So let's move on to your weekly horoscope, what's happening for you this week. And with these weekly horoscopes, I have here a lot about the Aries full moon, which I did cover in last week's show, and it was on the weekend, but as I just explained, planetary influences don't last just on the day that it happens. It does depend on the planets involved. And, of course, the planets that are closer to the sun, they're the influences that last the least amount of time. Did I say that right? I should have said the planets further away from the sun last the longest and have the most impact. How does that sound? So, for example, if I'm talking about a Pluto influence or a Pluto transit, that's going to take a long time, weeks, months, years even. Whereas if I'm talking about a Mercury influence, then it's only going to be a matter of hours or days, depending. So the further out the planet is, the more impact it has. Oh, so speaking of the weekly horoscopes, which I'm just about to cover, I talk a lot here about the full moon, because the full moon, this was a supercharged one. It wasn't a super moon per se that we've had this year, but because the influence of Uranus was involved with this recent full moon. So if you're an Aries, the Aries full moon puts you in the spotlight, especially at work. However, you may have found your leadership skills tested to the max when you have a difficult decision to make. And for Aries, it's always important to be brave and bold as you can be, instead of the shadow of that, which is fear, having fear. If you're a Taurus, the full moon urges downtime this week. Even if you have to cancel some plans in order to get some peace and quiet, you need space to reflect on recent events and to clear your head. Defend your privacy this week. If you're a Gemini, helping others brings you great satisfaction thanks to the full moon's vibe. So it's time to put others first this week. It's a terrific time to volunteer or to befriend a lonely neighbour. Reach out to others. If you're a Cancer, you sense that a career opportunity is around the corner and the full moon builds your confidence. However, watch out for difficulties if your partner doesn't support your ambitions. Much discussion is needed. And the moon is the ruler of Cancer. If you're a Leo, take a leap of faith and try things differently. No, you have no evidence that a new approach will solve your problems, but the full moon is all about giving it a go. Drag yourself out of your rut and take action. It's a fire sign, that should be pretty easy for you. If you're a Virgo, acknowledge your debt to others during this full moon week, emotional or psychic debts as well as financial ones. You have been loved and supported, but now it's your turn to be someone else's rock. If you're a Libra, the full moon shines from your love zone, illuminating where you and your partner need to negotiate or compromise. If you're single, there's a good chance of an interesting date this week. Ooh la la. If you're a Scorpio, you've had enough, which is good because the full moon energies this week bring you the perfect opportunity to start afresh, and you're very good at that, which I've been explaining in this show. Work out what you want to change in your life and come up with a proactive plan. If you're a Sagittarius, where's your sparkle gone? This week's full moon vibe sends you out to seek laughter, love, and adventure. Do more of whatever makes you smile and much, much less of what makes you frown. If you're a Capricorn, focus on your family as the full moon illuminates this area of your chart. It's an excellent week for supporting your spouse or cheering on your kids. Be fully present, switch off the gadgets, and listen. If you're an Aquarian, take care of business this week by working through your to-do list and sorting out mundane matters. It's not very exciting, but the full moon helps you to clear your head of these small issues, making space for what's to come. And finally, if you're a sweet, sweet Pisces, money matters make you feel emotional during this full moon week, but try to see beyond the emotions and fears into what's really going on. Could money worries be masking a deeper anxiety? So that's your weekly horoscope. And just as a reminder, the sun moves into Scorpio on Saturday, where it will stay until November 11th. And on Tuesday, love planet Venus moves into Sagittarius. And, where it will be through November 11th, and the sun in Scorpio through November 21st. So this is a time of breaking bad habits, of trying adventure with Venus in Sagittarius, and meeting new people from faraway places during the next few weeks can teach you a lot. So, thanks for joining me with the Astrology Show, and be sure to tune in next week. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox.